Welcome. Welcome to Beginner's Poetry. This is a presentation on Sounds 101. Just gonna warn you ahead of time, it's not gonna be everything about sounds because, again, this is a beginner's class, but also you'll see why. This is created and hosted by me, Lynn is a poet. Slides template is by slidesgo.com. I have to say that in order to use the presentation template. Introduction. Why do you think sound is important to poetry? I'll give you a moment. You can go ahead and pause. 3, 2, 1. Poetry likely predates written language, so it has a very historical value to it. The reason why I say it likely predates is because we cannot confirm, due to it not being written. So there's no record keeping on that. But hymns and ballads have very close connections to music and storytelling, and poetry does as well. Poetry is like a combination of storytelling, music, and presentation, like performance. So it's a little bit of everything, and therefore it likely predates written language as well. We just don't really have the evidence to fully say. Sound effects, emotion. This is what your poetry listeners or readers could step away from your poem with at the end of the day. And therefore, that's pretty important because we want to think about how it's going to affect other people. Rhythm. This is important, especially if you're doing like slam poetry or poetry that is, or if you're just like writing like a rap song. Rhythm is very important to rap, but rhythm is also very important to song type poetry, like very musical quality poetry. And yeah, memorability. It's more likely to stick with your audience if the sound is very impactful. And then another thing with the rhythm, if you use p, k, b, t sounds, those sounds like the t, b, p, those sounds that are created from those letters are very percussive, and it could add to the vibe of what you're trying to do. Percussive could be very aggressive or very boom, like very heavy, very beat like. If you want to use more softer things that are less musical in nature but give off a more melancholy or a bittersweet kind of feel. Words like, or letters like that, sounds like that. Yeah, those are things to keep in mind. Goals. This is me waiting on the presentation, on doing the presentation. It's me sitting with too much to do and not doing any of it. Anyway, what I want you to step away from this presentation with, I want you to have a better understanding of rhyme, meter, repetition, and how you can use sound to your advantage in your poetry. Let's start simple. Repetition. I don't know if you guys know the rubber room with rats meme, but this is an example of repetition. It starts with crazy, goes back to crazy. If you want to take a look at that, that's there. I bet you expected to make a joke about repetition, you goober. Anyway. Epizeuxis. Repeating a word or words in succession. No, from a baby. That's a decent example. Can I get some examples of epizeuxis in the comments? It says chat because I do this live normally. Alrighty. Refrains. The reason I have this meme here is because this is a popular song, and it's a meme of a popular song, and songs have a correlation with refrains, but in music, it's typically called choruses, lines that are repeated regularly in a poem or song. I'm not quite sure if The Raven actually is a good example of this. I know it has repetition, like you can see, and nothing more, and nothing more. So that is epistrophe. We will go into that, by the way. Quoth the raven nevermore, and it ends up coming back. Quoth the raven nevermore. I don't know if it's limited by how many lines you need to have repeated. Oh, no, the definition says line. The definition says line, so we are good. Yes. The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe is an example. May I get some examples of epizeuxis in the chat? Well, it would be in the comments in the YouTube, by the way. Refrain. Oh. Could I get some examples of epizeuxis in the chat? Well, it would be in the comments in the YouTube, but anyway. Refrain. So the reason I have this here is because it is a popular meme, or was a popular meme a few years ago, but it's a popular song. And the reason why I put a song is because it has ties to music. In music, a refrain is referred to as a chorus. It's a line or lines repeated regularly in a poem or song. An example of this is The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. So, The Raven not only is an example of refrains being used, because it repeats, but it's also an example of epistrophe, and we will go over that. Because the ending lines, let me see if I can show you an example. Quoth the Raven, nevermore. That ends up repeating later on in the story. Quoth the Raven, nevermore. Quoth the Raven, nevermore. Quoth the Raven, nevermore. There's that, but also, just the word nevermore getting repeated in general, as well as and nothing more, and nothing more, and nothing more, and nothing more. That is epistrophe and refrain. Anaphora. Anaphoras are epistrophes, but in the beginning. So it's it is repeating of words in the beginning of consecutive clauses, lines, phrases, or stanzas. An example is the I have a dream speech. We will go over that in just a moment. Epistrophe. Epistrophe is the same exact thing, but at the end. So we will go ahead and look at those examples right now. The MLK I have a dream speech. It doesn't start with those words, because it starts with 50 years ago. But if you notice towards like the middle of this speech, he starts saying things, and it's in the first part of what he starts to say, where he repeats, I have a dream that one day. I have a dream that one day. I have a dream that. I have a dream that. I have a dream that. But then it goes back to regular speech. He does that repetition in the beginning of those clauses. It would be stanzas, in poetry. He does repetition in order to incite passion in that. And by the way, these are both examples of speeches, but also U.S. history examples. I'm so sorry about that. That's the only history I know. And it is the most prevalent it's the most prevalent in speeches, and so that's why I used U.S. history speeches as the example. It's because it's the first thing that really came to mind, and it's very, for at least people in the U.S., it's very iconic. The text of the Gettysburg Address. This starts with 7 years ago, right? Ends with of the people, by the people, for the people. The reason why it was chosen for the people to be repeated is because this was shortly after the United States' Civil War. Basically, short little history lesson, the North and the South were going versus each other on whether or not slaves should be free and should be considered as human. And as messed up as that is, thankfully, we ended up, winning and making it to where slaves were free. And now, that's why he wanted to really emphasize that there are people. These are real people being affected by that decision and by that war. People of color are people, and we really needed to learn that back then. I think we can all agree. I think in not even just U.S. history, there's other countries that also did that, and yeah. And heck, we can even say that to this day, that we still are a little behind. But anyways, both are common speeches to incite passion So these are both tricks that you could use in your poetry to incite passion and a union and of like, let's do this kind of thing in your poetry. It could also, give off other feelings as well, like overthinking, like whenever you use repetition, it could be that, it could be like, oh, I'm in my head. It's like, why, with epizeuxis, things like that. Oh, I forgot to zoom it back in. My bad. Consonant sounds. 2 or more neighboring words or syllables are repeated. Do not confuse it with spelling. For example, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. She sells seashells by the seashore. These are tongue twisters and also great examples of alliteration. There's also Taco Tuesday, Slippery Snake, and a reason why I said to not confuse it with spelling is because Wretched Raccoon is also alliteration, even though it starts with a W. It still has that sound that raccoon does. Wretched raccoon. It's not like we say wretched. Assonance. Sound over spelling, just like alliteration. Listen for the repeated vowel sounds. A, E, I, O, U. Long basically just means that those are going to sound like that. Like in these words, the A is going to sound like A. E, I, O, U. Long A. The re, ain, a-ain in Spain. In Spain, falls mainly on the plane. I just exaggerated it so then you could notice the sound. The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. This is from My Fair Lady. It is a musical. The rest of these were written by me. Ease, the green, E. I almost said T. Well, T also works too. Long I felt my eyes glance at the pies put on ice. These are all of the I sound. Long O. O for coconut trees. Only 2 Reese's toe. Toe, over. That's why toe and over work. I forgot to bold that. Whatever. 2, we will go over that in just a moment down here. Long U. The human refused to view the cube. U. They all make that U sound. The reason why I underlined 2 here and changed its color is because 2 ends with O, but it makes an U sound, not an O sound. So it isn't assonance for this specific attempt, because this is long O assonance. If I was doing short O assonance to like an oo, like the double O, the oo, if I was doing that, that would be different. But it's an O sound. So, or like we were going for the O sound. Over, go. And therefore it is an assonance with these other things that have O's in them. That is why the sound is more important than the spelling. Be careful. It's very easy to mistake some vowel sounds like cube and glue. 2 versus only, rain versus, 2 versus only, and rain versus said. U, b, ooh, you, ooh, t, ooh, only, ray, ain, ed. That makes like a That makes an A. This becomes important with imperfect rhyme. If you want to pay attention to that imperfect rhyme, we will not be going over it this presentation. I may include it with my Sounds 101 Part 2, but we're on that later. Imperfect rhyme. Perfect rhyme, not imperfect. I wasn't able to get to imperfect rhyme because it's way more complicated to explain. Masterclass defines a type of rhyme in which the stressed vowel sounds and sounds thereafter in both words are identical. If they aren't identical in sound, that would be imperfect. At, im, act, bold letters are the stressed sounds in those words. You've heard elf on the elf. Now get ready for Luigi on a squeegee. Squeegee. Luigi. Waluigi on a squeegee. I think it's Waluigi, not Luigi. Rhyme scheme. Rhyme scheme. Sorry, I stayed up super late. So, pretend that these have like full lines for them. I just got really lazy. These are going to be the end words on each line. So yeah. Cat. Hat, rat, bat. I saw a cat with a hat that went for a rat with a bat. Yeah, that would be A rhyme scheme. The reason why we use letters is just because it's alphabetical order, so it's correlated to 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. This is 1, 2, 1, 2, also known as AB. Cat, 2, rat, shoe. Cat and rat rhyme, 2 and shoe rhyme. But if you say cat, rat, 2, shoe, then it's A, which is also another one. A, B, C, A. I walked down the street and I heard a man talk. Walk and talk rhyme, but street and heard don't rhyme, and they don't rhyme with walk. Yeah, many more. You can choose the letter. Sorry, I meant to say the change of letter means a change of rhyme sound. So you usually switch it with and whenever a line ends with a line that doesn't rhyme with the previous. You can use numbers as well. Like I had said, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. Yeah, alphabetical order is typically standard when you're talking about rhyme scheme. Okay, so I have a confession. I was going to go over consonants with you guys, but it's an umbrella term, meaning there's a bunch of smaller little terms in it, which means there's enough content for a part 2, so I basically had to force this to be shorter than I wanted it to be. So if you guys want part 2, let me know. I'm suffering from success of finding too many things to teach, so if you want more in-depth meter as well, that would be covered in part 2, as well as imperfect rhyme. Syllables. Put your hand under your chin. Let's say a few words so you can count the syllables. Keep in mind, with anything in regards to sound in the words you choose in poetry, this is affected by the accent you have and the dialect you have for that accent. Just stick to your accent. Whatever it ends up being for yours is true to yours. And just, yeah. Or if you want to be as accurate to whatever dialect you're trying to go for, I recommend Googling how it's pronounced. Because Google usually has like a little pronunciation thing that shows you the syllables. And not just the syllables, but the stress. And we will go over that in a moment. So hands under your chin. Well, one hand. One hand under your chin. Paper. Paper. That's 2 syllables. Popcorn. That's 2. Microwave. 3. I say it like crow wave. Some people say microwave. And then there's some people that say microwave. There's nothing that's wrong. It's just regional. Additional resources are here if you don't fully understand syllables, because I get when English is not your primary language, or at the very least not a language you're fluent in, it can be difficult to know what syllables are when you're, writing with English words. So I put this additional resource here to explain what syllables are by somebody who's actually qualified to really teach. On a similar note, stress. Oh, and by the way, they're more qualified to teach language. Stress. Put a hand under your chin again, and we're going to say the same thing, but we're going to find where the stress is in those words. Paper. By the way you could tell is elongation. With the previous one, you could tell the syllables based off of when your mouth goes up and down. So, like, each time it goes up and down is a syllable. Paper has 2, like how I said, it has 2, but let's go over. Paper. Paper. Pay is where the stress is, because that's where your chin naturally falls lower when you say the word. Popcorn. Popcorn. It's the paw for me. Microwave. Microwave. grow. That's where the stress is when I say the word. And by the way, I have another resource here for if you specifically struggle with stress. And this is by people who teach English language. For people who are new to English. Syllable counting. How many syllables does this line have? The fast cat bounced over the fence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Now you try. My phone screen is cracked. Give you a moment. 3, 2, 1. 5. My phone screen is cracked. If you struggle with the concept, here's a text link to a syllable counter. It is not embarrassing to have to use websites or things like that to your advantage when you just struggle with some concepts of poetry. It's okay. There's an app that I use for my syllable counting, just because I don't like going through the trouble of trying to count. It's called Lyric Notepad. I think it's available on both iOS and Android, but I use that one and it gives me my syllable counts on the side. Like the left side of what I write. Just like in this example. Syllable counting. The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams. I'll go ahead and read it normally, and then I'll read it with the syllables exaggerated, so then you could tell how many syllables it has, and then you could tell how deliberate it sounds. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, glazed with rain, water, beside the white chickens. So much depends upon 2, a red wheel 3, barrow 2, glazed with rain 3, water 2, beside the white 4, chickens 2. Notice the seemingly deliberate pattern. 4, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2. It sounds kind of like a beat. 4, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2. It sounds like it was made intentionally. This method makes poems sound smoother, more intentional, more thought out. Like I say, nothing is required in free verse, so this is very optional of a tip, but it does make your poem sound more intentional, well thought out. Or if you play around with it in the opposite way and make it jump in syllables very drastically, you could give that sense of like drasticness to your poems, as well as other emotions as well. It could just make it sound very jumpy and very like you're rambling and then suddenly you think. Or at least that's the vibe I get from them. So I just say whatever you do, try to do it deliberate if you can. And then you'll be more proud of your poetry as long as, you take the time to think, and sometimes even if you don't, actually, because poetry can have meanings for you without it needing to be fancy or deliberate. That's why I say there is no rules to poetry, especially not in free verse. But if you're doing something that has rules, the formats, yeah, there are rules. Thank you so much for watching this. If you have any questions, let me know in the seminar chat or in DM. Here's your little sources for you little nerds. I didn't need too many because I already know syllable counts and rhyme scheme. I didn't need to look all that stuff up. I just needed it for the definitions. So that's there for you guys if you want a little bit more resources. That's all I got for you. There is no homework. I still need to respond to the homework from last week. And yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you guys so much. And have a good day. Bye-bye.